Through backroom servers, I'm gonna have to possibly subpoena Samsung out at some point to see who's fucking with my phone. Because I got up maybe an hour and 15 minutes ago, and I already used 20% of my battery. 20%. So this background app. Yeah, why the fuck is PokerStars running in the background? They have a gambling ring, most likely, that they run through my phone. Power saving on. So here, 12 a.m. So let's see, charging. So I was charging till what time? Camera 5%. It's all these background apps. The screen is hot. They're making the screen hot. They're making me run out of batteries, so I have to charge my phone so I get gassed at my house. But I'm not going to charge my phone at my house. I'm just going to go charge it somewhere else. So they're defeated the purpose. And this is only within the last week. Ever since I told my landlord that I complained about my Wi-Fi going out over 50 gigs, and then she's like, nobody complained it. And first of all, it'd be like, nobody has complained but you. But anyways, I digress. And so long and short, they were stashing chairs by the smoking section. They would see me sitting on this chair by the table. I'd grab the chair, put it by the table. They'd see me there. They wouldn't say anything of it. Then they would stash it underneath the stairs or in the trailer. And then I'd grab the chair, put it by the table, and I'd go through this harassment, inconvenience for months, right? So then when the Wi-Fi happened, I'm like, what's up with the passive aggressive behavior with the chairs? And then the husband's like, he didn't say this at this point. He's like, don't threaten my wife. And it's like, well, if I threatened your wife, dumbass, take the proof that I sent you in the text message to the police station and have me fucking arrested. So I didn't threaten his wife. They're dummies. They're not the smartest people. This is the intelligence that I have to deal with. I'll show you this is the intelligence. This is the system to me. This is how the people I have to deal with. Please do not take, remove, touch. Foods aren't belong to you. Please do not take, remove, touch foods that don't belong to you. Thank you, is the correct way to say it. Not aren't belong to you. So this system, how they set me up, is an aren't belong to you system. Because they're morons to me. They're morons to me. They violate me. They diminish me. They water down my intelligence. But I'm still smarter than them because I'm not a fucking moron. I've been focusing on myself for 10 years, bettering myself, and all they've been focusing on for 10 years is me. So they're watching me get better and they progressively get worse. Right? But they're morons. Like, for instance, they've had satellites since 1957. It's 2024. And not one fucking scientist ever put a magnetic field around the satellite to protect it from a coronal mass ejection or solar flare. But this guy, me, who can't find a job and is claiming that he has evolutionary DNA, is smart enough to put a fucking magnetic field around our satellites to protect our telecommunications industry, the internet, and life as we fucking know it. But these rocket scientists, they're smart. Don't get me wrong, they're smart. But they're the aren't belong to me club to me, because they water me down, and they rather see modified cheats suck and achieve something that I could crush or my kids could crush, like high jump or running. I'd be the fastest person on the planet if I wanted to. I have no desire to be the fastest person on the planet, but my son might, right? Or my daughter would, right? We're the strongest people on the planet and the smartest people on the planet. I'm not into the gym. It's not like I'm gonna go out and bust world records. My son might though. That's his prerogative. Or my daughter might do her thing. but I am going to be the best poker player that ever lived. And unfortunately, I'm too good at stocks that I would end up owning the entire stock market after a while, because I'd consistently outperform. At first, I'd be poor, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I made doubled my money in 16 days in stocks. I played this game as a kid, and at 15, and at first it said, "Don't quit your day job, you suck." Right? That's how games used to talk to you. Right nowadays, like, we sugarcoat it for feelings, for these little monsters, right, that suck as individuals because they prey on humans. When I was a kid, there was podium finishes, and then you sucked if you didn't make the fucking podium. We made champions back then, not participants. Now we make participants, right? Winners get ostracized. But anyways, I digress. So with math, with stocks. So I was at the stock part. So playing the stock game, anyways, after a week, it was like, you should be doing this as a professional. So in grade 2, I was offered to do grade 6 math for half the day. And I didn't. It was a decision I shouldn't have made. My parents weren't there. My parents should have been there at the very least, pardon me. But I almost certainly would have been violated in a different room if I did take that up. But I didn't want to be away from my friends. And then in grade 9, I was offered to go in a math competition, but I didn't even try. And then in 2015, I was first in the world in a math game, ranked for a couple hours. I was ranked number 1 in the world for a couple hours. And so I'm fantastic at math numbers, and like, I enter my bank card in once or twice, then I memorize my bank card number, right? My SIN number and all, any number I remember, usually. And so I'm fantastic at stocks. So my very first stock, well, I doubled my money in 16 days on the stock market in a real stock app based on real stocks. I doubled my money in a day. So that's what made me start trading stocks again. Was I doubled my money. Like, they gave you 5,000 American dollars, and I made something like $10,000 in a day or whatever, right? Like, I doubled my money. So in real stocks, my very first trade, I got, well, I'm conservative, so I was a little apprehensive, so I traded some of my shares. I had 4,700 shares, and I kept something like 1,500 shares. And but if I didn't do that, I would have turned 4,000 into $8,700 in a month. So I was kind of figuring out how the stock market worked with that particular trade. And then so I ended up making $1,500 in a day off that $4,000 anyways. So needless, and I guess recently I'm going to prove this, that with computer assisted help, I made people a lot of money. On April 26th or 24th on 2024, I looked at Kodak Eastman stock because I thought I would still want to have a good camera, not just a cell phone camera. I would still want to have, I believe there's still a market for a good camera. So I was checking out the stocks and it seemed like it was underperforming. But it was high for that day. So I thought if it went down over the next few days, I'd wait and I'd pick it up. And then I'd set it at the 52-week high was something like $5.92. So I would have set it to sell at like $5.92. And so sure enough, it did exactly that. It went down slightly and then it went up to $6. So I would have cashed out at $5.92. So basically with $1 million, I would have made $236,000 profit for 10 minutes effort. That was just checking out some stocks, checking out a little bit of accounting, some news. 10 minutes worth of effort, I would have made $236,000. Just like that. That's how good I'm at stocks. So needless to say, if I wasn't watered down I'd consistently be able to, I'd be buying when I should be buying and selling when I should be selling more often than the average person, that eventually I'd end up owning the entire stock market. Like any tycoon game, I usually bankrupt the system, basically. I had a formula for point spread that I would bankrupt point spread if I won 16 weeks in a row. I had a formula that I would bankrupt the point spread industry. They would stop selling me tickets, basically. So when I did win, well, not win, but when I made that stock trade, it was a potash company, and it resulted in an accident. So I wonder if the system made the accident happen for me to try to reward me, because in the system I should have won the lottery like many times because of how my inherently good deeds. But they have other people that look like me or my kids that win the lottery, so I'm gonna tax them all. Like anybody that's living the high life and they keep me poor, I'm about to go beg for money, right? And they say I'm the richest person in the world to these systems, right? So the systems need to always pay attention to me and see how poor. Look at my bank account frequently, and they just spoofed it, like to make it seem like it was big. I wouldn't, and it's insane because they just showed a number so much. I would, like, first of all, in Canada, you're only $60,000 insured in your bank, right? So I wouldn't have trillions of dollars in a Canadian bank account, right? Because I'd lose it all. I'd have 60,000 if they went bankrupt. I'd have $60,000 in insurance if I had $1 trillion in a Canadian bank account. So that's the last place I'd have trillions of dollars. Maybe having 1,000 accounts with $1 billion in each account, separate account, that would be insured for $60,000. That would be a little better. So I'm at McDonald's here at this store, and I like to play a game with how much am I gonna burn my tongue when I'm trying to taste to see if they fucked up the coffee, right? But it's always way too hot, and it's progressively hotter each time I come here. So I know that they're intensifying my pain sensitivity, and so it's getting the workers and any corporate members at McDonald's, because McDonald's won't exist as, I try to say exist and last at the same time. They hacked it, but it won't exist as a company because they have their charities and McDonald's Playlands that violates kids most likely.
Just be careful with it.
So I just sipped the coffee, and they're saying it's about 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. They simulated it for my biology, right? So some of these corporate members and enemy combatants that work at McDonald's, they're gonna have to drink. They're gonna be subject. They're gonna be put, because I'm gonna be able to prove that the soul exists, and I'm related to Jesus and Muhammad, right? So I'm really in Moses and Lord Kartikeya and Buddha, right? If he existed, I don't know if Buddha existed. But any divine entity that really existed, they made sure that I would be born with it. Whoever had evolution would be born with it. So that religion would rally behind that individual once evolution spawned. So there would be no holy wars. So I'm related to everybody. Everybody. I'm related to Napoleon and the English guy. The guy that won it. The Battle of Waterloo. I'm related on both sides. I have Aryan blood, Jewish blood. So World War II, I was covered both sides. On my mom's side of the family, they were Danish, so they were neutral. On my dad's side of the family, they were allies, so they were fighting in the war. So once the world sees how monstrous these people are to me, my kids, and good people, their karma needs to be redirected back to them. There can't be these swift executions, like these lethal injections where they fucking go to sleep when they just blew somebody up in pieces, and that person had to struggle and suffer for hours of agony, and or they set somebody on fire, then they spent months getting their skin peeled painfully. Why the fuck should they get a peaceful execution? So I'm gonna be a king of the world, right? So anybody that's voluntarily participated in any terror events throughout the world, that expect your extradition to be there where the strictest laws are, where it's more palatable for the public, like public executions. Like there's countries where they'll cut off your hand for shoplifting. People steal attributes of me. So I'm gonna have their hand, they're gonna be extradited there and have their hand cut off for stealing attributes. Their masturbation hand, because they violate me when I masturbate and when my kids masturbate. And I have nothing to hide. That's why I post all these videos online publicly most of the time. But I post them publicly all the time because I have nothing to hide. I am gonna be king of the world. So I could walk into a government office, or they could walk in, the police could come up to me right now and say blah, blah, blah. First, I'm most likely going to outwit them with my logic. And I'll notice something, a discrepancy in their law that they have other places, and I'll point it out to them. And then, if that didn't happen, I walk in as the little guy, prove computer-assisted help is possible, show my surgical scar, the complete shaft of my penis when I got circumcised. Why would they augment my penis if I didn't have evolutionary DNA, right? They tapered my penis to facilitate women of smaller proportions because the girthiness of my penis was too big. So they tapered my penis. And my mom must have been young. She must have been young. Well, she was young. She was 17. But naive, because my aunt, because my mom mentioned to this to me several times. But my aunt said to her that my father must have been well endowed because how I looked as a baby. Then I got circumcised, and if you look at me, I'm not well endowed. I'm thick. One of the thickest, but lengthwise they've constricted me chemically that way, and proportionately they tapered me by removing tissue. Hearing lots of sirens today, and the sirens don't scare me whatsoever because I'm king of the world, right? I know if I push hard enough I got diplomatic immunity, and but I like the role of the underdog. I wouldn't even play that card unless I absolutely had to. I'd eviscerate them with logic. Because they have signs for some things, but they don't have signs for other things, right? So I'd point out that discrepancy. Because where I'm about to panhandle, they're telling me it's private property, but I don't see a fucking single sign that says private property. So I want them to escalate it this time. And they said, I mentioned how there was no signs, and they're like, they would have to put it on every post, but they do have signs on other posts for other things. So there's discrepancies. So lots of action at like 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday in Niagara Falls, Ontario. A lot of fires. They're selling a lot of fires today. So I'm just going to show you some of my athletic prowess. Here's some of that evolutionary talent. Here's me going bar down with the football. And my son. He has the higher ceiling of the two. Well, soon after the news. Here's some of that evolutionary talent. Here's me going bar down with the football. So my videos always getting the people that made me cough to set me up in my videos in the past and going forward in the future. Dispatching their family members as if they're close proximity to me. I do want the system to escalate, and I do want to see real enemy combatants, evil violators die in front of me. They just pretended this guy in the yellow shirt died. They pretended the guy in the yellow shirt died right there. He didn't die. He didn't die. Unfortunately. Like if he's a good person, I wouldn't want him to die. I'd want him to live forever, but he's not a good person, more than likely. So that being said, every single person that ever set me up, it will be hunted down eventually. Once I'm king, right? Gonna have all the time in the world and all the money in the world and all the power in the world to hunt down all my violators. And then gather technology in one country and then form an international coalition and then go to the next country like dominoes, they all will fall. So all technology should be Autobot technology, and then refurbished both ways of the Switch, right? Because any Decepticon technology would be destroyed. So here's another video that I just made yesterday. So with the football one, I threw a football maybe less than 200 times anyways. 300 times or whatever. And my son, he was a righty. He's better with his right foot, and but I wanted to make him more versatile as a soccer player, so I tried to get him to be ambidextrous. But he kind of just ran with a lefty. They probably made him a lefty at that point. But so he'd be more powerful and probably more accurate with his right foot. If he, even if he spent several months, like a year of condition, he would be off the charts with his right foot. And but he's still dynamite with his left foot. He'd be the best soccer player on the planet. So this next video, they've hacked my legs today. Even though watching the video, I didn't use my legs barely at all in the video. But they don't want me to be able to do this trick for hours on end. So they're hacking my body to make it, so I can't street perform and make money. Right, basically. It's another way for them to restrict me from making money. So I'm gonna do this trick. I'm gonna hack, or they're gonna hack me right there. So it's try to prevent it. But I'm gonna throw an acorn around my back and catch it between my legs. So watch how they're gonna make me miss when I go to get it with my hand, and how they make me lose balance at the end. There's gonna be equipment that's doing this, so restricting that equipment. It's their penis envy. So these leagues that are restricting me they're never gonna get my DNA. So that was one machine. So I guess I gotta do it over here so I got more space. So there's different subliminal metrics that they're gonna try to set me up for now. So on installing the subliminal metric system. Because they're the penis envy choir. So my last name's Meyer. So I'm just gonna play this one. I got it. So I'm gonna just play it again from here. But watch when I say the penis envy choir.
So there's different subliminal metrics that they're going to try to set me up for now. So on installing the subliminal metric system.
So I'm just going to pause it. So watch when I watch my right foot, my left foot, pardon me. My left foot takes a step, and then somebody hacked my head to look where at the subliminal metric rather than at the camera, because I was kind of trying to piss off these penis envy choirs, right? So I wanted to look at the camera, but they overrided my biology, basically. They hacked me before I had a chance to, like.
They're the penis envy choir.
Oh, look, there's
my
no
last
look.
name's Meyer.
See, they made me look down, and then I'm looking at the camera again. Right?
That was the perfect one. This one I got it.
So, as you can see, I barely used my legs whatsoever, but my legs were sore yesterday, and they were sore this morning. So, I just showed the technology in the upper right and the horn kind of confirmed it. So, I showed the technology in the upper right that they're using to restrict my biology, and these leagues they're not going to get anything from me. They're not, like, they're manufactured androids. These people in these leagues, they're cheats. Most of them are cheats, right? I'm pretty sure the world like Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame for cheating. Lance Armstrong was stripped of 7 Tour de France's for cheating, right? People don't like fucking cheats. Pete Rose, I don't know if he bet on baseball. He bet on baseball, but there could have been some cheating. But definitely Lance Armstrong was known as a cheat, and they stripped all 7 of his Tour de France's from him. You know, people don't want to see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu run an 8-second 100-meter dash. They don't want to see that, or me benching whatever my body could bench. But that's the future of mankind. right? And the brutal reality of it is I can't have kids with myself, right? I need to have kids with women that have good genes, right? Like good, inherently good women to make a vibrant species for us later on in the future, right? Like, but I'm integral because I need to have kids, many times for thousands of years. It takes, basically, when I have a kid, they get 50% of my DNA, right? So my grandkids only get 25% of my DNA, right? So that means if my kids were to surrogately mate with each other, like through, intravenous or whatever, right? That means their kids would only have 50% of my DNA. So evolution never happens. Evolution 3 never happens again until I have surrogate kids with one of my daughters. Until I have in vitro fertilization with one of my daughters. Because then I pass on 50% of my DNA, and then my daughter would pass on 25% of my DNA. So that's 75% of my DNA. So evolution has a chance to start there. Barely. Only in a very, maybe if they kept on breeding within like 40, 50, 100 people, right? Then evolution 3 might happen. But with billions of people, evolution 3 never happens. Evolution 3 never happens again unless I'm alive and having kids. Like I would have to have kids consistently for about, I would need to have would need to have a daughter that agreed that for me to have a surrogate mom get pregnant and have the baby, and then I raise the baby. I would need to have a daughter agree to this and have babies for 1,100 years straight. Have a daughter every single time. A daughter. And if just with its male and female, it would take 2,000 years straight just for me to have kids nonstop. One generation after generation after generation after generation, nonstop. And then that would make generation 2 people. The girl would look almost identical to me because she would have 99.9999 blah 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 blah. Basically 100% of my DNA, but she'd be female. And then the boy would look identical to me, but he would have 0.01% less of my DNA, right? And then evolution 3 could happen for mankind at that point. Then it would go on for hundreds of thousands of years, and then near the end of evolution 3, like we're like say after 900,000 years, I would then need to have more kids for another 2,000 years or 1,000 years straight, daughter after daughter after daughter after daughter, that were willing participants that wanted me to raise their daughter as my granddaughter, right? And I don't want to do that. Like, that's terrible, right? But for our species, it's necessary, right? I don't want to do that. That's the last thing I want to do. My parents were born in different countries. I thought I was so golden, meeting people, that I had zero chance of meeting anybody with any genetic ancestry of mine. I thought I had zero chance. Like, there was some girls, they were good-looking women too, but there's this one family, like there's 3 of them that are really good-looking, but they're all cousins in that town, so they can't date anybody in that town because they're all cousins. The Grisdale family. So I'm just gonna show you right here. So basically, directly right there and right there, going back to your brain is where sex drive is controlled. And I want the system to restrict my sex drive to 0, because I'm not having kids until I'm king of the world, right? So I don't even think about sex. But these electronic violators that pretend to be me, even though I'm trying to initiate this, but they pretend to be me, but they don't want their sex drive to be reduced to 0, so they restrict mine from being reduced to 0 to hide their own sexual deviances, right? Like I went over a year without masturbating after I left my wife. Over a year, 22 months they're saying, 22 months, and didn't even think of it, because when I believe that computer systems help these possible so people could feel what I feel like from within my skin. So why would I masturbate another man inadvertently, right? So when I do, I try to kill my electronic rapist at that moment. So I'm not even concentrating 100% on masturbating, because it's not no longer, I'm being hacked. It's no longer pleasurable, right? Like I'm being violated. And if I think of the women in the pornography that I'm masturbating to, or if I happen to see an ass that I liked or whatever, right? If I think of her, she doesn't join, participates, but she's aware of it. And who wants somebody to be aware? I would have told her. I would have hit on her, right? I would have made her aware that I wanted something. But masturbation is the most selfish thing that people do, right? It's all for you, right? When I masturbate, it's me, right? When I'm having sex with a woman, it's her, me, right? Like that's how I do it. So I'm just gonna show here in the subliminal upper right, but I didn't realize this at the time, but some people do believe that I'm literally God incarnate, right? And I believe I'm God's warrior, but because I'm fighting for injustice against, thought it should be crushed by the government, but they can't crush me, right? So I knew I was important, and I found out I had this evolutionary gene, right? But anyways, so I had this God complex almost when I was having sex. It'd be, oh crystal God, oh crystal God, oh crystal God, oh crystal God, right? So that was almost every single time, lots of times anyway. I just showed in the upper right hand corner 42 times out of like I had sex with 60 women. So needless to say, like I've abstained from sex for like 6-7 years almost for that reason. Like same masturbating, I wouldn't want to be raped by men, and I wouldn't want the woman that I was, you know, copulating with to be raped by women and men at the same time, right? So I wouldn't want to emotionally invest in right now, and for to hurt her inadvertently and to hurt me, right, by that, because I'm a guy, I don't like to share. Nobody likes to share. Nobody's like wants to have somebody beat up their car and then smash and then park in your driveway for your turn. Nobody wants that. So I'm a good-looking guy. So if I did want to get laid, all I would do is go up to a good-looking woman, or you know, that was by herself or with her friend, and then just be like, compliment her on her appearance and be like, hey, I've never seen the view from your room, would you mind showing me? And then smile and charm her and go from there. It's hard to improvise how I would say it, because this is an imaginary woman, right? So I don't know what she looks like, I don't know how she's dressed, how to compliment her on her style or whatever, her hair or nails or something, right? I don't know what to go for, but I would say it more mellifluous than just how I said it as a matter of fact, right? Because an example is, I'll say, here's a funny one-liner. You can eat a full box of laxatives and still not give a shit, right? So that's funny enough, right? But then you can say, you can eat a full box of laxatives and still not give a shit. Is much funnier, right? So obviously if I was trying to charm, I'd be buttering up the charm, right? I'd be making her blush, smile, and using body language, right? Body language expert. So I'd be reading like the cues, like whether she was touching her hair or if she touched me, or you know, if she was making eye contact, and just things like that. Like became an expert. Like this is a sexual profiling system, so I'm going to show you what I look like. So I was probably in my 30s there. Here's what I looked like at 18. Here's what I looked like right after I got married. Here's what the last king looked like. So look at him. Looks like me with the hat on. Like especially in this picture. There's what my mom looks like. That's what I looked like as a baby. So I've been being electronically raped since as a baby. And I don't know if I mentioned in this video, but my penis was surgically augmented to facilitate copulation with women of small proportions. So they gave me a tapered penis, basically. And I have a surgical scar when I got circumcised that goes the entire shaft of my penis, right? So then they can't get rid of that scar, right? So when you get circumcised, they take skin off the tip of your penis, not augment your penis, right? So why would the government augment my penis without telling my mom? It's not like they said, hey, let's we reduced your son's penis size. How do you feel about that? They didn't say that, right? My mom was 17 at the time, right? She was a teenager, so she was naive, right? So needless to say, I went to the Gatineau, Quebec on my 18th birthday, and it's the first time I went to the bar, because drinking age is legal at 18 in Quebec, and went to the bar, and to me it was like G.I. Joe. No one's half the battle, right? So I was like, in my mindset, I had the G.I. Joe mindset. The worst thing women can say to me is no. Not gonna be rude. I'm gonna be charming, right? So the worst thing they're gonna say to me is no, I have a boyfriend, or I'm not interested, right? So at that point, I had that realization, so it gave me confidence. So I looked like this. I went to the bar and I kissed at least 10 girls the very first time I went to the bar. At one point, this girl's like, don't leave the bar with that guy. And remember, I was 18, so they were all older than me. And I did leave the bar with two 25-year-old women with a guy that night, but nothing ended up happening. So once again, it's a sexual profiling. So there's right here is where I'm going to register them. You can see the subliminal phase right there. Right there. But that's how smart I am. I'm going to register them that way. But so it's a sexual profiling system, and I look like this, and so it's should be suspicious for the artificial intelligence system that all these good-looking people are perceived to be these sexual predators. What's the likelihood of that? That these good-looking people are electronic rapists rather than ugly people that have 30-year-old virgins that don't have any charisma or game to be these electronic rapists. It's a higher likelihood that they're ugly and untalented, and there's going to be good-looking ones, but if you are recruited by this system, they're going to show you the most beautiful celebrities and how they manipulate people's bodies and stuff like that to cause problems, to cultivate you for that exact same deviance in a matter of time, right? But they're going to have these beautiful celebrities, right, like that you're going to be attracted to. But you have to remember there's millions of ugly anonymous rapists hidden behind them that you would never want to have sex with. So by you, in your mind, cheating on your spouse, right, they're going to get you to cheat on your spouse with your imaginary celebrity relationship that you now know that you could have in your head and your body, which you think your spouse doesn't know, right? But God knows. God knows. God's aware of this technology. I just showed that the human soul exists. So God knows about this. God sees everything that we do. Our soul, basically, I'll jump into this right now. Our body, we're made up of stardust scientifically, like suns that exploded, they became heavier elements, so they became the iron in our blood, and the gold in our minds and stuff like that, in the planets, right, from dying suns, right? But the sunlight, our soul is encapsulated sunlight from a dead star that died billions of years ago. It lives vicariously through our mortal shell, which we call our bodies, in my opinion, right? So there's heaven and hell, almost certainly, and if not, I'm going to try to digitally create it since I know the soul exists, right? I'm going to try to be able to capture 50% of it, so 50% ascends or descends to heaven or hell, the true heaven or hell, and then 50% would go to man-made heaven and hell, because I've never felt the pain of hell, right? So I want to make sure these electronic violators feel the pain of hell. So I might be able to prove an experiment here. I just got to try to skew. They're trying to skew here, but the clouds are moving awesome and there's contrast. So I might be able to manipulate the clouds on film here. There's a face right there. You can see a face right there. There's a face, a subliminal face right there. So I'm just gonna watch on screen, and then I'm gonna look up when I point and look up. Let's see if it's not going fast enough, dude. I thought it was gonna be, but you can clearly see that subliminal face. They made the subliminal face and I'll just show you on film here. Right there. Kind of looks like Donald Trump. Right there, there's the subliminal face. You can see the eye, the mouth. That would be a subliminal face. And there's another subliminal face right There's another subliminal face right there. That's awesome. So the cloud. So I'm gonna try to slow down the clouds now, because they're going here. So there's another subliminal face there. They wanted me to see that one. So I'm just gonna wait till that dog leaves. I'm gonna try to position the phone so it so when I do it, I'm not shaking it, so you can see the clouds moving. So I'm just putting the phone down here. So I'm not even touching the phone anymore. So I'm just gonna close this so it has more time. So it should have showed a lot now. So I'm gonna try to slow down the clouds. I slowed down the clouds considerably. It's almost to a stop now. Now I let go. So with instrumentation, when I said I slowed down the clouds considerably, they almost slowed to a stop at that point. And it should be noticeable under instrumentation. And I'd be able to do this I'm in Canada now. I did it on an airplane on the way back from Denmark to Canada. From the airplane, I was able to manipulate the clouds. And I'll show you further proof of this is me manipulating clouds in Denmark when I was seeking asylum. But I haven't tried it in years, so they didn't expect it. I'll play 2 videos. Oh, here's me being surveilled at my house. Listen to the antenna. Me distort the antenna because they've been surveilling me my entire life. So I've always picked up disturbed electrical signatures sometimes.
So you can see the radio right there. This is what I'm talking about, the human antenna. You can hear that there's no distortion. Now watch when I go by it.
Getaway car drivers. And that doesn't mean
You can hear it.
It doesn't mean that it was improper for them to be punished and held accountable. It was. But I think it's also important to remember and recognize the particular role that each individual person plays in a crime.
So that's the human antenna.
The fact that my grandfather...
So basically...
You can watch the rest of that on the video. So the human antenna.
So basically what that means is, proximity. So the fact that I was able to get close to the radio and disturb it, I'm hoping with the cathode ray TV, I'm able to project my thoughts, or at least, like, if I get short.
So I'm hoping to be able to, with a cathode ray TV, be able to disturb or project my thoughts on TV with that crude rudimentary model. So you can watch human antenna demonstrated. Chris Meyer Diggins. And this, I might as well play this because they said in the past, they've said that my brother said I threw him down a garbage chute, and it was a reason why they formed me at the hospital. So this proves it.
So long and short, I'll just explain why I'm here is and more or less when I arrived back from Canada seeking asylum from Denmark, the police were waiting for me at the airport. I'm like, okay, well, what's this? I didn't let anybody know, even Canada, didn't let anybody know I was coming back. So I didn't let these people know I was coming back. And I used to live and breathe here. And anyways, so next thing you know, well, your brother said that you tossed me down the garbage chute when you were a kid. I'm like, really?
So the garbage chute was big enough for a white plastic bag. The smallest when you go to the convenience store, you get a bag, a white plastic bag. It was big enough for a white plastic bag.
It's the size of the garbage chute, right there. So I was 12 when I moved out of here, and he was about 10. So maybe if he allowed me, but there was zero medical records whatsoever that he was ever tossed down. And this is on the 4th floor. So really, that's twice. There's twice that, that they use that he's like, oh, he threw me down the garbage chute. And it's like, whoa, that's not even possible, man. Like, how could you do it? Like, would you go stiff? Down? Like, come on. It's impossible. I'm going to keep this recording until I get to that. Outside the building. So there's no way to say that this did not happen. Like, this is not the garbage chute or what have you. Because that's twice. That they because of this evolutionary DNA that they're trying to justify drugging me and stealing me to hide it. They even try to covertly kill me many times today. And once again, whenever I do, that's when I call people out. So, anyways, I'm just gonna get outside here and just gonna get outside, and this is Gilder. This is the building where we used to live. We used to live at the 4th floor right there, and that was my room. And as you can see, there's no way. He also said that I climbed out this way and onto the balcony. I remember seeing me through the door, right? But to say that you're doing some Herculean type move to get out of the building, then you're gonna kind of run with it, right? But anyways, so it's impossible for me to ever toss him down the garbage chute voluntarily, because if he was resisting, dead weight, when you're resisting as a kid, right? Just think, I'm only 2.5 years old, and I moved out of here exactly 2 weeks to the day to my 13th birthday.
So there's that story, and so it was on the 4th floor, right? So imagine, he would have felt like a fucking pinata. He would have been bouncing like that, lacerating himself all the way down. He would have had contusions, and where's the medical records? Where's the medical records? So Canada didn't even confirm. They just try to jump and seize and pounce on inaccurate information. They never validated it whatsoever, right? I never got here's another thing. I never got sick from COVID. I never went to the hospital once. They hacked my body, but I never went to the hospital once, never went to the walk-in clinic once. I'm probably the only fucking human on the planet that never got sick from COVID. And I haven't got sick since I found out I had evolutionary genes 6 years ago. I haven't got sick once. They hacked my nose, like, to make me blow my nose like this. I'll just show you what she looks like. She has a backpack. She's trying to set me up right there. That one that just pressed the button. But now, because there's kids, there must be kids there. Yeah, there's kids right there. So they tried setting me up. So what they do is they have a woman walk by, and her pheromones could elicit some sort of response, and then they follow it up with a kid or an animal. That's the modus operandi, right? So they have this sexual profiling system that criminals are aware of and know how to manipulate it and set up good people like myself. So it's flawed. It needs to be abolished, because the sexual disease, deviants that electronically cultivate and manufacture are allowed to get away with the problem. And these good people, I just showed on the right side, the good people that died, that were just buried, that died, that weren't criminally complicit, their body just was manipulated into doing something, die. Where the brains, the organization, the manipulation, the orchestration, the puppeteering, it's like carjacking a car and then crashing the car, right? It's not the car's fault or the person's fault that the car was crashed. It's the person with the fucking gun, the person that's playing their thoughts. So they're trying to set me up for storylines in the system. Even like from the video I showed in 83 Gilder or whatever, I should have been dead by the system if I was a violator. So the system should have to wonder why am I still alive, first of all, if I was a predator, and how come my profile is always being updated every 10-15 minutes, right? Because they're trying to hide their criminal, what they do, right? They make me look at, like right here, they just made me look right here. So anytime you see gum, that's usually, I think it's a young girl con. Black, there must be a black girl, there is too. That's right, when you see that, and look at right there, there's a young black girl, right? So whenever you see gum like that, so that white gum would be probably a different ethnicity, but that one, because it almost looks like, you can see her hair, she was looking back, but you can almost see her hair. It looks like her hair up in a little bun, like how little black girls have, right? So that's the black con. Right, and if you eat eggs, they could sell a white con. You're more likely they'll sell that you're a sexual predator to white people, or if you smoke cigarettes, they'll say that you turned gay, right? Or marijuana. Well, I don't know what they do with marijuana, but I'm sure they sell something when I smoke marijuana. Even though, ever since I told my doctor that I prefer marijuana's legal in Canada, so ever since I told him I prefer cannabis or marijuana over pharmaceutical drugs because of the side effects, and I know how it responds to my body, I stopped getting high off marijuana 4 days later. I just show it in the upper right hand corner and bottom left for the international community. But so I stopped getting high 4 or 5 days later, right? So why, even though I was getting high for 20 years before then, and but as soon as I mentioned it to it, they just made me, I feel, drool right here because he's black and the doctor's black, so he Ogbonna. So even in his name it says, I forget how it's spelled, but it says 0G, right? So he must sell girl rapist cons lots just based on his name, and Bona, right? So it sounds like boner, right? So he sells male anatomy cons guaranteed. I don't even have to. As soon as I seen his name, I knew what type of cons he was gonna sell. I knew it. As soon as I seen him. So Canada shouldn't be administering medication to people remotely, first of all, right? Because that's probably against our Charter of Rights. When, especially when people, I just showed you how I pointed out that black gum and that there was likely to be a young black girl walk by, and sure enough there was, right? So then they drugged me like I was a young black girl predator and I'm not, right? So I felt drool, just that part of my lip, not my whole entire lip, just this part on my lip, right? That's how in tune I am and sensitive to my biology, right? And so what's the other point? So anyways, if I could, I'm gonna adjust the chemicals in my brain. I'm gonna make my voice deeper, and then I'm gonna make my voice softer at will, right? So when I say testosterone, it's gonna be deeper, and then when I say estrogen, it's gonna be softer, because when I say testosterone, I'm adding testosterone to my brain. Now when I say estrogen, I'm adding estrogen to my brain. So you could hear a noticeable difference, right? So if I can alter the chemicals in my brain, that means I don't need medicine whatsoever. I don't have a chemical imbalance. It'd be fucking impossible, because I can control and balance and neutralize my chemicals. As I just did once again. Testosterone, estrogen, right? So I could be like super estrogen mode, and then super testosterone mode, just like that. I will. That was me controlling, and I don't have any instrumentation. There's nothing. I could prove this with a positron emission tomography. I've never Google searched where testosterone and estrogen are responsible in the brain, but I could feel it in my brain, so I can control it. So all I need is somebody to look at my brain, and I'll secrete it on film for them. I just did, and they're not going to be able to hide that, right? And I'm not going to be seeking asylum in Canada where they could skew this information. Oh, so now that I said that, there's going to be a high probability that the dubbing is going to be off in this video, because as soon as I started making my asylum evidence series, the dubbing has been off in my videos. Like, I could jump to 2 months ago and the same recorder, the same phone, and my dubbing is never off in my videos, but my asylum evidence videos that are public are off. My one private one that isn't public is perfectly fine. right? So why would Canada continue to skew and compound their problems, really? They're going to look ludicrous to the international community. Like, they're going to look incompetent, inept, and they are, because they violated the Indigenous people since 1867 with the residential schools. Even in my lifetime, there was residential school kids, Indigenous kids that went to school that had graveyards, right? And they're just covered up. We know the daily nutritional intake because of how Indigenous kids were abused. We know how much vitamin and how much it takes to starve to death, basically, because of how they exploited this from Indigenous children, right? And that's terrible, right? They exploited them. They tried to assimilate their culture. They made them cut their hair, made them dress differently. They violated the Indigenous people completely. And now, my parents are Homo sapien, but my breed will be called Homo meyerdiggans. But I'm a new species, right? Technically, scientifically, even though I look human, right? But scientifically, I'm a new species. So there's xenophobic beliefs and hate crimes perpetrated against me just because of my biology. So I'm going to punish a lot of people for that. So I'm baptized or whatnot, a Lutheran or whatnot. So I'm technically a Christian, but I'm spiritual. So I'm going to embrace all tenets of all religions eventually. Once I have my full capacity, I want to read the religions and texts in the original language, like so the Bible in Latin and the Torah in Hebrew, and I believe the Quran in Arabic, etc. Right, like to read it, so there's no lost in translation. So I get the, and I want to be to know the language. Maybe not Latin. I probably can't be coming up with jokes in Latin, but I want to be able to be sarcastic, funny in the language, right? Because then once you're funny and sarcastic in a language, then to me you mastered the language, right? If you don't understand sarcasm, right, then like most kids don't, right? I remember my son, it's like, I forget how old he was, but I was like, hey Chase, why don't you throw me my drink, right? And he threw it to me, literally. Right, I forget how old he was. He must have been like 3 or 4, right? And it's like, why don't you throw me that? And he tossed it to me, like he threw it at me. I forget, it obviously spilled or whatever, right? I forget if I got hurt or whatever, but it's like, hey, throw it to me. Literally, he threw it. Right, so kids don't get sarcasm, right? Probably till at least 10, right? Sharp kids under 10, but probably at least 10 years old, then kids could start getting sarcasm. But when you learn a new language, you're not going to pick up sarcasm as much in a new language because you're not going to understand the nuances of the language. But that being said, so I want to read the religious text. So once I'm going to prove that I'm ethnically, like my DNA enemies, I have the most, how should I say it? Not dense. I have the most enemies. I'm related to the most religious figures that lived, right? So, and I could prove the human soul exists. So I would want to amend Catholicism, because one thing I don't believe in is, because this is a loophole for the system, so I have to stop it for all these electronic violence. But one of the things I don't believe in is going to confession and then thinking you're fucking good after that. It's like they could say, oh, I just electronically raped Evolution Man 100 times, and then the priest is like, high five, five Hail Marys, you're good. Your fucking soul is good. Not a fucking chance. Not a chance. It's like prison. You reform, you get punished, and you correct the behavior. Then repent, and then at that point you can attain spiritual attainment, or attain I guess that a spiritual attainment would be it, right? Like, in my opinion, right? Like, so when I'm king of the world, I guess it would be the same thing, right? If you mention to a therapist that you committed a crime, they have a responsibility. So in Catholicism, they're going to have a responsibility to report these crimes to to the police, because for 2,000 years now, people been able to confess whatever they wanted to say and not get punished for it, officially anyways. I'm sure unofficially they get a lot of punishment, but officially they've not gotten punished for it, right? So that has to change, in my opinion, because there's no way, right, God that imbued our soul, like once again, I'm showing the human soul, my face should be illuminated with light, and there's no way I can live a terrible life and violate and commit genocide secretly with teams, and then at the last minute, the moment of death, and say, God, forgive me for my sins, and then he's going to be like, fuck yeah, you did great. You go to heaven. There's not a chance. Zero chance of that whatsoever. That's how hell was spawned. We have the greatest responsibility because we're an intelligent species. We're self-aware. We're able to acknowledge God. No other species on the planet knows about God. Knows God and thanks God for existence. We're the only one that does, right? And intelligent species, right? So we have a greater responsibility because we could make other species extinct, right? Like we made species extinct. And part of it is natural selection, right? Like we're pressuring, they couldn't compete with us as a biological being. But at the same time, we weren't thinking. It was like we cut down every last tree without planting those seeds, right? We fished every last fish without letting them get mature to spawn new fish, right? So we caused the problem. We weren't proactive. We tried. Sometimes we tried to react too late, and then it was just too late, right? The species went extinct, right? So we affect other species, right? We could destroy our planet with nuclear warfare, right? We can make every species go extinct, right? So we have a higher burden or more consequences for our life than other animals do, because I believe all animals have souls, and we ascend to be intelligent beings throughout these lives. Like I believe I lived many times as a human. I'm hoping I'm hoping never to die, but if I do, I could be born as a woman just to see from a woman's perspective. I wouldn't care about ethnicity, but just because really it's going to be more of a woman's world in the future, right? So you're going to want to be, really, the world needs, like I'm not, like they breed people right now. I'm not saying breed more women, but I want inherently good people that naturally have boys or girls how they would. But these electronic violators, some of these good people in their family, it makes more sense for them to be girls because they're more likely they don't have to wait as long to get my evolutionary DNA. I have to breed with women, right? And then 20 years later, then the men can breed with the girls that are now became women, right? So I had to breed with women first, right? So in the system, it makes more sense for these electronic predators. They all should be women. They should all, not electronic predators, but all the good family members that might end up with my DNA, they should all be women, right? So they don't have to wait 20, 40 years longer and then compete with the men 20, 40 years younger than them, right? So it makes more sense to have more women. Like China's one-child policy there, they had a preference for males, which was insane. They knew I had this evolutionary gene. They should have had a preference for females, right? Like, because now there's 100 million males, more men and women in China, right? That can't get my swords batting together. They don't make babies, right? So if they would, their one child, if they would have had if there was 100 million more women now in China, China would have been able to take the lead when I start seeding and breeding. Okay, so yeah, I kind of detracted here. So I showed the human antenna, I showed the garbage neutral. So I want to show the weather machine again. I'll show you two videos. These are both from Denmark. So they had different weather machine capabilities in Denmark. moving. I'll slow it down. Now it looks like a witch because it's a subliminal. There's a tat or a beard. I'll slow it down again over the chimney.
You can clearly see it slow down when I said that.
So I just secretly showed how Donald Trump violates Republicans and Americans. So here's another video. Because he was trying to get some infinity showing up in this video here, so I had to punish him for it. So watch right here. That cloud. See how dark it is? It's going right to left. And then there's going to be a person coming left to right in the video. So pay attention to how fast the cloud is, and then when I point, watch how much it slows down. And the person's walking, so I couldn't have manipulated the clouds at the same time as them. So watch again, see how dark these clouds are. So for this, they might have, so about 10 seconds ago. So for the system to get anybody, whenever I cough, check the proximity around me, and then who's pretending to be me, who set me up, check my chemistry, see my ghost read throughout my body, and how they're setting me up every time I cough. Because this blonde curly hair guy just walked by me, and then I coughed, and now they just made me look at an Asian kid. I'll just show you right here. The one with the blue thing. Either he did or somebody made me look directly at his face, and like, wait, oh, here we go. I'll show you right here. Like right there. So why would I'd be looking like anywhere, right? So why would I look directly at a person? I could look any direction right there. So anytime I directly look at a person, the system has to understand that somebody made me look at them. Either that person or one of their family members or one of their teammates made me look at that person. Because they just made me look. I'll show you right now. They just made me look at her ass. The one walking the stroller. Or the wheelchair or whatever. They made me look at her ass. So she made me, or somebody else made me, and then they kind of made me slightly blush. So the system would have shown me slightly blushing when I made that realization. But so they mean, like, what are the chances of me looking across the street directly at an ass? I'm not gonna be able to tune in like a fucking LiDAR or an artificial intelligence, somebody hacked my eyes, with system could like GPS their ass, guaranteed, right? But the average person to randomly look, and why do I always randomly look at these women's asses? Or if I think about, like, because one thing, like, I feel sorry for women, right? Like, at least a guy, when he has a double chin, he could grow a beard. Not a fucking problem. You grow your beard, you can't see your double chin, it's cloaked, you're fucking golden, right? But women, like, she just made me look at her. She just made me look at her double chin. Anyways, so women don't have that advantage, right? So, but they do have those fancy little scarves, those cool scarves that they can put around, and even the guys do. I'm gonna look it up for guys. It is really stylish. Yeah, those. So a woman could have something like that to kind of cloak her double chin. But yeah, I like that for men. It's fashionable. I don't know if I'd want mine that long, like that long. I'd like it this long. But for $204. But I'd wear that for sure. Stylish. But I'd be wearing a hat like this. I'd be wearing a hat like that with it. That's my personality. Those are my hat. That's fat tech on me there. But that's my personality hats. Hats like that. So here's when I was related to Marcus Aurelius. And I bet on film. Like, you know, I'll show you what Antonius Pius looks like. He's another Roman emperor. I look like about 5-6 Roman emperors. So there's Antonius Pius. So I bet on film that I said wrist. I can't say right now, they hacked me there. I could come up with all these profound thoughts, but I can't say risk. Right when they wrote people with less intelligence through my brain. But anyways, 10% of the world's wealth that I would look like Marcus Aurelius on film. I said I would risk 10% of the world's wealth. Not even, I was that confident that so let's see. Who's another? I need just any famous Roman emperor. Julius Caesar. I have to slightly look like Julius Caesar. I'll do it on film. Somewhat, I have the brow bone. And the cheekbones. Look at my cheekbones right now. My cheekbones, like, right there, like that. They're giving me my grandmother. She's 40 years older than me. And they're giving me, I'll show you what her wrinkles look. Look how deep my wrinkles are. And I'm 46, 47 almost. And I have deeper wrinkles than my grandmother does. And she's 88. She's still alive. And I have, my telomeres don't have end loops. So I shouldn't age. So science is going to have to explain that. So they're trying to give me her wrinkles, but nowhere near as deep as mine, and she's 40 fucking years older than me. Look at how very few wrinkles she has on her face, right? And look at my face. Look at the wrinkles right there. They're causing wrinkles right there. I'm the only human that has a 45-degree wrinkle on their forehead. Google search it. Google search. Look at your family's pictures from 2023 before, because I mentioned this in 2024 in July. So before July, you'll never see somebody with here's another one on this side, because when I sleep on this side, right? So at first I had wrinkles on this side, and then I made a video saying how suspicious is it that I only have wrinkles, because when I'm sleeping like that, they hack my skin to cause those wrinkles. Now they're trying to get all of them, right? They hacked my skin. So I was getting wrinkles on one side, so I'm like, that's strange, but not the other side. So then they would flip-flop in my sleep to make sure I had enough time to get wrinkles on both sides, right? So to punish all of them. In reversing any subliminals back to my perpetrators and causing wrinkles, they just try to make this one tighter. So making it tighter on their bodies and getting them right back. She wants, so they're making it tighter again. So this is the government, like, it's gonna show a slight fluctuation in my skin. Again, every time I say that, I'm gonna hold it still. It's gonna show a slight fluctuation. There was another one. It shows that on, like, if there's the scientific instrumentation, how could I physically, with my mind, make my skin slightly move, like a millimeter or two? It's showing it. I can see it on film. But they're continuously doing it. Like, I'll show you how a video where I look older and then younger a day later. They're idiots. It's her name's Kim and her teammate in the Justin Trudeau regime. But she just happens to be getting affinity. She sucks at this game, because she was nobody in the system a year or two ago. Nobody in the system. But since I happened to choose, like, I chose basically where I was gonna live, right? They kind of give me selections to move in, right? But they restrict my choices considerably. But like my last place in Sault Ste. Marie, I knew I was gonna get because it was on Wellington Street because I'm well. And that was it. I'm related to Napoleon and the Duke of Wellington for the Battle of Waterloo. I'm related to both sides of most conflicts. So there would be, it didn't matter who won. I was guaranteed to win. My bloodline was guaranteed to win, and both sides could unite and rally behind that individual, right? So anyways, so they sidetracked me, so I just gotta pause for a second. So that time they were fairly successful with the hack. So I guess Kim does have some abilities, because other people play her and help her, right? So her body gets the credit. That's what people don't understand. She sucked at this. Oh yeah, that's what it. Now that's how I got back on it. I just had to get back to my animosity level. Then I would figure it out. So back to how she sucked at this system. So they spent billions of dollars, and it took me less than a minute to figure it out. Right? So they think they can hide this technology from me, and then I'll forget it forever. Like even some of my intellectual property, right? They try to make me forget it, and they think they can create it, and I'm not going to be like, that's my genius, right? So they're fools. And so anyways, I have to get the animosity level back up. So I knew my last place in Sault Ste. Marie I was going to get because of Wellington, because I'm well. In the system, I'm well, right? So how could I be well last year, but now this year, the only metrics they get are for where my body looks. And they just try to show some images in my brain there. So they're trying to set me up, but I look at YouPorn when I masturbate, right? That's about it. YouPorn. So whatever there's no kids on YouPorn. There shouldn't be any subliminals. And that's one thing. If you believe you have private thought, never masturbate to still pictures of pornography, because they could have subliminal images behind it. Behind videos, it's too hard. They're trying to develop technology. So behind still pictures, and they're monsters. They just showed about 10 seconds ago, and then watch from when I said that. They're trying to make videos to cultivate whatever deviance they want. They're predators. They're monsters, right? So anyways, animosity back up to the level to how much I'm gonna sue and punish Kim in the future and execute her once I'm king. I'm just trying to get them in prison so then they can't leave, and then execute them once I'm king, right? That's the strategy. To just get them in prison at first. But anyway, so I knew I was gonna get the place on Mountain, right? So this place is near Cook Street, and I'm a Cook descendant. So I knew if I wanted this place, I was gonna get it guaranteed. It was a slam dunk in my mind because it's proximity to Cook Street, and there's a Prince Edward, I believe, right? So it's near Cook Street and Prince Edward, and so I knew 100% that I was gonna get this place. So before I didn't take pictures then, but I did take pictures before I moved in because I knew they would set me up. They just tried to set me up now. They made me cross my legs like this. Like that lady with the beige, she had her camera out, and I just felt something. My testicles changed, so they're trying to set me up for some kid con. Now I can feel drool just right here on my lips. So showing all the techniques that not techniques to cultivate, but the technology that they use to set me up in the bottom left. Because it's a predator system, and who in their fucking right mind, I'm explaining this, I know I'm being watched by the government in a sexual profiling system. So who would be looking at and getting aroused when they're trying to explain the fucking system? And I told them I could prove with the positron emission tomography where sex drive is in the brain. And I'm like, restricted for me and anybody who pretends to be me. But they don't want that, because then these sexual predators that pretend to be me can't get aroused. They won't get an erection. They won't get off. I don't plan on getting off. I don't plan on having sex until I'm king of the world. I don't plan on having sex. Why would I have sex with a woman and have her get raped by these men and women? I wouldn't want to do that. I reluctantly masturbate. Very rarely. They try to rouse me every night to masturbate at this place, compared to my last place. So there's 2 women that live above me, right? So they're trying to arouse me, particularly the daughter, and I'm gonna prove of this. And the Kim did spend over an hour making me have an erection because I flipped the mattress. They didn't realize this, so I wasn't getting the subliminal metrics that they thought they were getting, right? So even though they thought I was sleeping, I was trying to fall back to sleep, but I was awake. So over an hour, I had an erection, and I wasn't thinking about anything. I was letting them toss me and turn me because I'm setting them up for in the future, right? Once I prove computer-assisted health is possible, I'm gonna prove all this and then execute anybody that ever violated my body, the sanctity of my body. I'm going to be the true king of the world, right? So they hijacked my body, and I'm going to execute them for sedition, treason, and a plethora more. I'm going to eviscerate them alive. No problem. I solved it. Or for in Canada, when I moved to Toronto, and I was looking for a job, and I was applying anywhere. So they ended up making me live in Kitchener, Ontario. So I'm like 12 cities away from my kids. Ended up getting a job, right? And so anyways, I was sleeping out of my car, but my brain would appear to be sleeping even though I was trying to be asleep, and I'm gonna approve this, they were trying to kill me in the car, right? So I would hear the car making all these chemical fucking reactions that aren't typical for a car. Right, so the top right is gonna get all those violators, right? Like, so I let them. I pretend to be dumb. They water down my intelligence, but I pretend to be stupid, and I love being underestimated. Love it, because I always have an ace up my sleeve. Oh no, it didn't happen. Okay, I was kind of hoping. Because I was thinking I was most likely going to get harassed by the traffic division, even though right now I'm not on the road, right? So traffic to me means vehicles. And there's going to be proof of this on the upper right. I'm the most harassed panhandler ever. I must have been criminally harassed. If I was to do this to a human, like another person that didn't have these positions, it'd be criminal harassment over time at different time intervals. So I'd be able to charge them for criminal harassment. Like this one officer twice. And he tried to escalate a fine into a criminal charge, a panhandling fine. It's $500. And he didn't look online. I told him that a justice changed the fucking law in April 2nd, 2024, and this was in June or July, and he didn't look it up. He couldn't provide me the criminal code number or bylaw number, right? How could we have technology, like why couldn't I Google search it on my phone? And then it got to one point where I'm like, I said, I'm like, I'll beat it in court. And he's like, we're not in court. And I'm thinking, fucking exactly. You have fucking zero. That's why you're not making it escalate to court, because you know I'd fucking destroy it. So I'm just going over the history here. Okay, yeah, so I showed some pretty cool stuff here in my athleticism, father-son genes, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess I'll show you the math video. This is me, son. They don't like this because I mentioned Canada, my animosity towards Canada and America, but it is a worldwide problem. But America's budget has the highest defense budget in the world, and I know most of it's directed towards me and my kids, right? And it's not to make us better, right? So I'm gonna eventually have them refurbish or destroy all that technology one day, guaranteed. So it's whether or not they want to refurbish it, enhance my biology, or me form an international coalition and do it by force. Because I control the artificial intelligence system, right? So I can make their systems attack themselves, right? because I'm not going to be chained down because penis envy of my attributes for any country. So here's my quantum computing type brain. That was the influence for quantum computing.
See who I am. But I'm going to write down any two numbers and simultaneously talk while I'm doing some math. And the numbers are going to be 78 times 48. So 78 times 48. So being able to think about my brain being...
So that isn't just directed at America. That's for any country.
Influence for quantum computing is very simple because I'm able to do this because I have that genetic advantage that other people don't have. So very simply, I was able to come up with 3,744. Let's see if I'm right. I got another phone here. But my brain was the influence for quantum computing. So who's able to talk and do math at the same time with random numbers? Only the person with this evolutionary gene. And the fact that the government of Canada and United States, and the number did work out to be, turned out I was correct. The fact that the government of Canada is trying to exploit my DNA, and my sister-in-law is telling my son that the reason why he's going to the washroom so much is that the government of Canada needs him to take a stool sample and blood sample. This is a way for them to exploit our DNA. You don't need a blood sample or a stool sample. And why would I be slurred if I could quantum think at the same time and be able to do math and simultaneously think I'm a slur?
Yeah,
right, without the government inducing it. So once you see how fast my brainwaves are able to project, once I have a positron emission tomography test, I'm going to destroy it. And then as king, anybody that did anything that resulted in any chemical or biological warfare and hate crimes, I'm going to punish you to the fullest extent of the law, and that's it for you.
So they're just working on a switch, but so the sex drive is almost directly right here behind your brain, directly back, and it's about like that big. And then right on the same side, almost directly behind your eye, right there in your brain, going directly to the back. So I can make it. I just did the right, but they're allowing me to do both sides at the same time to show on the positron emission. So they're hacking my brain, right? So on a positron emission tomography test, if I could only do one side, demonstrate one side, it is inferred that it is on the other side, and they're just hacking. They're trying to prevent me from showing that, right? Sex drive. They don't want. Why would they want that to be prevented, right? It's pedophile royal families like that act in royal families right now. They're acting royal families, but they're sexual deviants. They have a penis machine like that. I'm sure most royal families have felt every single erection that I've ever had. So they're going to be executed. Right? It's going to be like the Romanovs. It's unlikely, but there is a possibility, especially with the bigger families, that there is inherently good family members within those royal families, and they would be treated like any other good person, right? Like they would have just as much opportunity with me. I wouldn't hold any grievance towards them, but would they me if every one of their evil family members died, right? It wouldn't be me doing it. It would be their own actions against me, my kids, and good people, right? So it's like, basically, if they try to shoot me and they end up shooting themselves, basically, then it's kind of their own fault, right? Right? If it gets redirected back to them, like anybody who dies in the system, and they feel that it's your own karma, right? It's I was living my life just going about my own business, and people pick the fight with me, right? And I have a biology that doesn't want to die, like through chemical torture and chemical attempts and that, right? So I'm not going away. I'm needed forever. Like I guess I didn't mention in this video, but like this is how I change the future, right? Like basically, once again, the dubbing's going to be skewed in this video because I did say some contentious things, right? Which is suspicious for this particular app, that I never had a problem with dubbing, on this app, and I didn't uninstall it. I didn't. My phone didn't update or anything like that. And I've uploaded videos. My phone might have updated, but I uploaded videos that where the dubbing wasn't skewed. But anytime I did label a couple videos asylum evidence, and ever since then my dubbing's been skewed in my videos. So Canada's trying to, you can see in the bottom right how it shifted the screen there. Canada's trying to mislead, make it so I can't prove things on film. Like, so if I notice something fluctuate, a difference in my biology, if the dubbing in the film is different, then they're able to skew it to hide the proof. But international communities are watching, so because Canada's just one country, right? 40 fucking million people, 40 million people, gonna be king of the world. There's 8 billion people. I have 8 billion people to worry about, not just 40 billion people, or 40 million people, not just 40 million people, right? So Canada's a fucking small country. I'm gonna be worried about the billions of Chinese, the billions of Indians, the Americans, they're a big country, Brazilians, Indonesians, Japanese, any country with Mexicans, over 100 million, Bangladesh, Pakistan, like those countries where there's lots of people, right? I'm gonna be focusing on, right? Where I get the most bang for my buck, right? Where I can help out the most people, right? And countries like Canada are going to be helped out, but how's Canada's violated me my entire existence, right? So they augmented my penis. I have a picture of it that I can prove at any point in time that I have a surgical scar. So they can't get rid of that, right? So why would they augment my penis, right? When I was born, like a baby, why would they shape a boy's penis? Right? It's not like I had a deformity, right? So why did they put that effort in? And why didn't they tell my mom? Right? I sought asylum in Denmark, and then my mom died of a urinary tract infection the year before I would have been able to seek asylum again, right? So she was murdered, in my opinion. Guaranteed she's murdered. And she was cremated, so her body most likely is in some secret lab, and they're using her DNA to leach attributes and play the system, like my dad's body is most likely somewhere, right? And that horn kind of confirmed it, right, in the system. That's how the system works. They thought they were setting me up, but I set the system up at the same time, right? With the curveball, anytime in my videos when I mention something and then you hear a horn, that's the artificial intelligence hacking them, or somebody else hacking them with the artificial intelligence system to kind of confirm the system. Anytime you hear something like that. But when they have the horn, they're selling a con at the same time, right? So they're kind of confirming for me, but then they're trying to set me up at the same time. So they're frenemies. So the system needs to hunt down frenemies of eminence Cristiano Meyer Diggins, who officially is Christian Eric Arnie Meyer right now, but won't be for much longer. And his only 2 biological kids, not the biological ones that I just showed in the upper right. Non-biological ones in the upper right. The ones that pretend to be biological. Meghan Markle pretends to the system that her kids are mine, and they're not mine. They're not mine. I have 0 kids with Meghan Markle. She's gonna seem fucking delusional in the future for pretending this. She was attractive years ago. I don't even know what the fuck she looks like now. She may not even be attractive to me now. So I forget exactly. Oh, there's a lot of people. Let's see how many of them are setting me up on this system. So they all have different internet providers, so they did try to set me up. I do feel drooling on the left side of my lip. So it's a win for Christian for seeing this. Mankind. Oh, okay. So they had a couple women first. So I'm just gonna show you. I'm just looking at the viewfinder. I'm not looking at anything. And so people wouldn't normally be in tune, right? Like they're trying to. 10 years ago, when I never felt drooling on my lip when kids walked by. Never once. But they have an army of people setting me up. So if you look at the beginning, there must have been women at the beginning that, because I do feel a breeze on the left side of my face. right here. You can see my hair. I feel a breeze right here. So if there was a chemical trail down there, so the women lead and they're making me smell their pheromones to set me up for the kids, right? And then the drool tech, right? So like if you watch because I caught it on film, I knew this was gonna happen, right? They don't realize how I figured out their system, how they try to entrap me. So now I anticipate it. So to me, it was like a volleyball coming over the net, and I just smashed it fucking down. So here for this spot, they want me to sit like this. It's comfortable. It's not on my sign, but they want me to cross every time. In the past, every time I've crossed my legs, getting the violators that made me cross my legs in the upper right and dispatching them covertly for hacking the True King's body and trying to orchestrate and set him up to be perceived how they are. Right? They're monsters, right? They make these kids see an augmented reality. If they see in reality how boring it is, people aren't predators like the governments are. Like these kids, they make them think they're women. They're children. They're kids. Some of them. They're little kids, but they make them pretend that they're women in the system with augmented reality because they're monsters. All they do is cultivate. They're trying to cultivate next generation pedophiles. That's all they do. All they do is cultivate pedophiles daily. There's a day-old baby rapists club I just showed in the upper right-hand corner. So dispatching all the violators remotely right now, and the nurse. So worldwide, doing that worldwide, getting that maneuver worldwide. So that's all in the subliminal. So they, the thing is, they try to kill me. They covertly. Well, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. They pretend to try to kill me for some people, right? But I'm too valuable to die, right? Because they leech off my body, right? So they can't. It makes no sense for them to make me an amputee because then my battery. If my body's a battery, my body would have less battery for them to leech off of. So they're fucking insane for trying to make me an amputee. It makes zero sense, but it makes 100%. 100%. They don't like this part, so they made me stutter. But it makes 100% sense for these electronic violators in the system to make the people that are leeching off me that are most powerful amputees, so they don't get much. Then the rest of the team gets more. Right? See, they don't like that. They made me hack my face, right? That was somebody upper right. That was them. That realization. They didn't like that, right? So they to make these electronic violators in powerful positions, you want them to be amputees because they get less battery, right? So that it trickles down to the rest of the team. Right? So the rest of the team. So these enemy combatant members, right? And if they're young, it's a generational pedophile system. So like, why would you have kids? Your kids become more powerful than you. In the system, you violate your kids and then you become weak and old and they violate you. So why the fuck would you want to do that? Why would you have any kids at all? If you're in this electronic rapist system, any of these, I'm talking to these young kids that shouldn't be paying attention to me. They should have no clue what I'm talking about, no clue. But these kids do secretly pay attention to me, right? So why would you want to have kids that you're gonna violate and be more powerful than you, and then end up killing you? You would want to be the most powerful one, so you wouldn't want any more kids. And that's what I have to do to these evil people in the system. Right, to the rest of the world, don't be a generational pedophile at all. Don't. The soul exists, and they're going to be punished for it. I hate pedophiles, and I'm going to hunt them down. Electronic pedophiles are the worst. They're the ones that cultivate. I think the occurrence of just being a pedophile has to be so fucking remote. Because when I see a baby, I see something that needs protected. I see the future when I see a baby. I see the future of civilization when I see a baby. I see something that needs to be nurtured. Like, I need to feed them, I need to clothe them, I need to protect them completely when I see a baby. Right? But these monsters, they, here on the right, they show the monster trying to make me appear to be. But these monsters, they prey on these kids. I just showed the day old baby race based off bottom left now. And dispatching those people. That was in Sao Paulo, I believe. And that directive was for anybody in official positions who unofficially knows who I am, right? They like to make that screen disappear at inopportune moments. So that's always be suspicious when that screen drops. It's never the same consistent time, right? And all my videos will prove that. But they're fools. I set them up for that observation. I set them up for that observation probably like a month ago, right? And I've just allowed them to compound their evidence by them trying to con the system, and then I could verify it on film, right? So it's never gonna be consistent when the video app that I'm using right here, I'll show you right now. When I'm using this app right here, it's never going to be the same amount of duration before it closes down. It's always going to close down at inopportune moments. And they're fools, right? But that's such an obvious fucking observation that I knew I was going to make, and I didn't allow them to see that I made that observation, right? But when people are listening to my thoughts, like when I'm playing poker, for instance, I have to figure out what my opponents have without them being able to see my mind figuring it out. So I had to develop skills over the last 4 years to be able to, through osmosis, right? Like I played millions of hands of poker, right? So, and they try to set me up millions of times, right? So osmosis and through experience, like just you burn when you touch the stove, right? When it's hot, you notice, right? So the next time you touch the stove, you're a little bit more cautious, right? The next 1,000 times, you're a little bit more cautious. Then when you're complacent, the stove is hot again, right? So you burn yourself, right? So they in poker, right? That's how I get busted, right? Like I'll learn, like, okay, this mistake that I made, like a hole in my game, basically, and then I'll shore up my ranks, and then eventually I'll get complacent with that, and then I get punished by my opponents by it, right? And so likewise, I do that to my opponents way more than they do it to me. But so as when I'm playing poker, all I'm doing is looking for their weaknesses and capitalizing them. Because I look at it like they're trying to take my money, right? They're trying to take my money. I'm trying to drink. I'm trying to eat. They're trying to take what's mine. I don't want it all. I want the lion's share. That's it. So I just had to open that. But here we go. They've been working. So there should be some Drool tech coming soon. There's car number 282. I did see him yesterday. And car number 222 twice. So I don't feel any drooling, so what cons are they setting me up for now? Well, they just made me look at a kid, so the kid was being complicit. Augmented reality poisons the mind. You're not meant to see an augmented reality. People don't see an augmented reality. Most people don't see an augmented reality. Only electronic terrorists see an augmented reality and prey on the human race. To most people, you understand that, but to these, like 3% of the human population, these delusional people, they only see an augmented reality, but they're holding positions of power, right? So because of the pedophilia culture, industrialization, that the acting royals throughout the world prey the human race. They're breeding the human race like dogs. So go to www.change.org/technology. Privatize your thoughts. And at any point in time, I could prove that the human soul exists. And by changing my electrical field, I just did it right there, slowly from left to right. And so I could prove that independently, like at any country's expense, my convenience. And ideally, it'd be brand new, out of the box device, so no gimmicks or whatever, so it's unbiased science, and then I could go to another country and then prove it there, blah blah blah. But I could prove the human soul exists, and any DNA sample from any royal, I'd prove that I have a higher concentration of the royal blood that they desire. See, once again, the screen closed way faster. That was the Emperor of Japan. He didn't like that. He didn't catch that loop yet, so I caught him that time. That was awesome. And you can see the camera app responded slightly different than it typically does from when I do open up the app again. So I caught that on film. So if the dubbing is off, you'll just have to go back to that part and watch it closely again. So